What's up, everyone? All right, I'm here to tell you that if you're selling on eBay and you think that your buyer is trying to scam you, they're probably not trying to scam you. Give them the benefit of the doubt. Really, it's important because a lot of us eBay sellers are a little bit paranoid and we think people are trying to fuck us over. And the irony is that as an eBay seller, the thing we often think is that our buyers are trying to fuck us over, right? But what you'll find selling on eBay is that that's actually the same thing that your buyers think about you. That really helps understand a lot of customer service because it doesn't take much to show that, hey, I am still trying to communicate with you. I am still trying to resolve issues, so it's probably not true that I'm trying to scam you, right? That's why often a small level of prompt service goes a long way. And so I'm going to tell you more about customer service and what I believe is appropriate and not appropriate and how to go about giving out good quality customer service when you deem that it's necessary, right? Which is most situations, but also understand that a lot of us can be quite wasteful with our customer service, and we use a lot more than is necessary for most situations. There are special circumstances that really do deserve that extra level of care, that extra touch, that extra message, right? But most of the time, you have to be aware of what you're doing and how you're spending your time. Because if you're scaling a business, you want to make damn sure that everything that you're doing at the current rate you are is necessary. Because if you scale 100-fold, 1,000-fold, 10,000-fold, better still be necessary, right? Otherwise, you're going to be overwhelmed by the amount of time that you're spending on things that aren't completely necessary, okay? So keep that in mind with customer service. But at the same time, you also have to think of the buyer's perspective. If there's any one like golden rule, I would say, that you have to think about that's most important, that would be to be prompt. It's very important to understand that most problems come from when you fail to communicate with the buyer, all right? So understand you need to communicate quickly. I'm not saying instantaneously, I'm not saying you need to do it within an hour, but if you take more than 1 to 2 days, let's say if you don't respond within 48 hours, 48 hours is a good number on eBay, I think, you're much more likely to experience negative responses from the buyer. Understand that most of your buyers are coming from that mindset of this seller did this wrong on purpose, they're trying to fuck me over. Most of the time, all you have to do is show them that that's not the case by working with them and staying in touch with them and communicating. But at the same time, it's really important that you don't over-communicate. Most eBay sellers over-communicate with their messages. We send long paragraphs, we type it all up, and we have pride in that we are giving good customer service. This is obviously a person, we don't copy and paste nothing, right? The reality is it's just another way to think about it. You want to be very specific with your wording and your messages. Every extra word is another opportunity to confuse or accidentally misdirect your buyer into thinking something else or misunderstanding you. You don't want the buyer to see a paragraph and only pay attention to the one sentence where it seems like you offended them, because they're going to completely disregard the other parts of it. So in all of your messages, you should never have something as a response on eBay that's more than 3 sentences. If it's more than 3 sentences, and you're talking to someone at that point, and that's fine if you want to have a conversation with that person, but you need to understand that you're running a business, and if that's not what your intent is, and you're trying to develop systems, these messages, they may be cold messages, but they are not conversations. Each message is a situation that you must respond to. And that doesn't mean that you have to respond to the message by responding to it. A response to a question about a listing can be to delete the listing. It could be to fix the listing. It could be a message saying that, no, you're wrong, this is actually what it says it is. There's a whole lot of different responses, but ultimately that's what your message queue is. It's not a bunch of conversations you're about to have. You don't want to have conversations. You want to identify the problem. You want to admit fault, take the blame off of the buyer's shoulder. In every communication, you must communicate in a way that makes sure that the buyer does not feel at fault, even if they are at fault. The reality is, it's systematic. You should understand like your returns and all the other processes that, you know, you're just going to offer this in this situation. There is no like, oh, you know, he's trying to screw me over, so I'm going to do this. Like, you don't know anything really about what the buyer's intention is, right? And a lot of customer service comes from being aware of that, being aware of this first thing that I talked to you about, which is that it's really easy to waste a lot of time with customer service. You don't want to be wasting time unless it's actually really worth it, okay? So I personally don't use copy and paste messages. I've made templates to kind of give people a sense of how I operate, but I type out all of my messages. But again, everything's 3 sentences or less, unless I'm trying to have a conversation with the person, which does happen sometimes. People will message me seeing my YouTube channel and they'll ask me questions or other things, like if I like the buyer for whatever reason and they told me a joke or sent me a link to something, then I'll respond differently, right? But typically you want as few sentences as possible. You don't want these paragraphs that a lot of people have, because first off, you don't even know if the person that you're messaging is actually speaking English. You don't know anything about them as a person, right? It's very likely that the more you put into the message, the more confusing it is going to be for the person receiving it. What you want is that every message that you send gives the next step. Because once you have sent one message saying, this is your option, these are the things that you can do to fix this, then it's up to the buyer to then respond again, do those things, whatever it is that will then get you to do the refund, right? Or whatever it is. So like, for instance, most of the messages that I sent go like this. It's like, hey there, sorry to hear about this problem. I take full responsibility for this mistake. Please start a return case and I will issue you a full refund. And I put something about making sure they know that it's a prepaid return label that they don't have to do anything about, right? And that message right there, what I just said to you, hey there, sorry for this mistake, or thanks for bringing this to my attention. Please start a return case. I take full responsibility for this mistake. These are sentences that I use a lot. And honestly, there's probably like 10 possible sentences that I use, and there's maybe like 30 different responses that are all just a combination of those sentences. You want to be very specific. It's really, really important that you don't confuse the buyer, because you also know nothing about your buyer's computer skills. Like, they could have had like a shit day at work, come home, got in a fight with their wife, got on eBay, and then they're not experienced with computers, so they're trying to log in, and they have to get a thing sent to their phone to log them in, and then they get that in, and then they log in, and then they see that something happened on eBay, and they're just pissed. You don't know anything about these people, and we're talking about people from all over the world, and I can guarantee you that some of these people you're interacting with have odd situations in their lives, right? It's really important you get good at being able to identify tones in messages. You want to use as few words as possible, because most other people will misinterpret your tone. And in this situation with eBay, again, they think you're trying to scam them. You just need to be as open and honest and quick to communicate with them as possible, and they're quickly going to see that that's not the case. Like, they can't be mad, or okay, most of them are going to stop being mad if you're like, hey, start a return to get a full refund. I'm sorry about this. They're not going to keep being like, what the fuck's wrong with you? How'd you send me a broken item? What's going on here? When it's like, okay, I am going to do this for you. Here's the solution. Please do it. Like, you also, it's important to make sure that you aren't putting unnecessary work upon the buyer at the same time, though, because you should always do something instead of asking the buyer to do it whenever possible. you should always be the one doing the actions. If you find that you're asking your buyer to call eBay to do something, you should be the one calling eBay to do that. Because the reality is, you want to address the situation and get it to be where the buyer has to do just one final action to finalize it, right? In the case of like, okay, they have to actually start the return case. They have to click that button. I can only give them the information necessary to give them the confidence and the whereabouts of that button, right? But I can't click it for them. They actually have to do that. I can't call eBay and get them to start the return case. The buyer has to start the return case, right? But in a lot of situations, you like say that there's an issue with, you get a message from a customer from a GSP sale, and the item has shipped, it arrives in Kentucky, and it's on the way to Quebec, okay? So the customer can call eBay, but they're probably speaking a different language. They don't necessarily know eBay's phone number. They don't necessarily have any experience communicating with eBay. You could call eBay and just be like, hey, this is the problem. This item's been delayed. There's no updates on the shipping. And then eBay's going to close it out for the customer. They're going to look into it. That's going to flag it. And then it's going to fix it, right? It's better that you do that kind of stuff instead of messaging the customer to do something. Because you really do want to avoid having to wait for the customer to respond to do something. Like I said, messages, not every message should be responded to. Messages should only be responded to when you think it's going to increase the chance of an item selling and you haven't responded before. Like, so if the item is about a sale, you should always respond, right? But keep in mind, some of these people aren't going to like the options that you give them. They're not necessarily going to be happy straight away. They're not necessarily going to be happy ever, not all of them, right? And some of these people are, you know, real insensitive assholes, not going to lie. Some customers are jerks, okay? There's awesome customers out there as well, like really nice, cool, great, understanding people. And I think there's more of the cool ones than the bad ones, to be honest. But there's a lot of weird ones that are like in between both being bad and cool. But anyway, my point is that there's craziness, right? And what you're going to find is that some people don't like the solution that you give, and they're going to keep messaging you back, right? But once you have spent the time to send the message that shows the next step for the buyer, it's on them if they don't take that. If they want to complain to you and message you over and over again, I do not believe that it is necessary to, you can be nice if you want and send a message again, reiterating what the step is. But honestly, when, like for me, for example, because I need to be able to work in a way that I'm always able to scale up 100-fold or 1,000-fold. And that's why I do the bulk work the way that I do it, because of that potential. So I cannot spend 5 seconds when I could be spending 1 second unless it's really worth it, right? That's why I have to be very, very specific about how I spend my time, particularly about customer service. And there's a lot of kind of misunderstandings about that, because it's not important that you respond every time you get a message. If you do that, you definitely are going to give a higher level of customer service, but that's kind of by chance. You have to understand the variables that lead to good customer service. And again, the first one for you is to understand that you can waste a lot of time if you don't think about it. So make sure you think about it and that you're aware of the things that you're doing and think, are they really necessary, or can I make it shorter, right? Understand the 48-hour thing. You got to respond to the situation quickly. And 48 hours is late. Like, you really should respond to whatever problem within like 6 to 12 hours. That will be the single biggest determining factor of if you get a positive experience from the buyer or a negative reaction from the buyer. Nothing really affects it quite as much as the promptness of your response. That being said, always responding after an hour versus always responding after 6 hours, either way, you're going to be getting pretty good responses. But always responding after 12 hours versus every 6 hours, you're probably going to get a bit better with the 6. And always responding after 48, definitely better with the 6. But the second you start going past like 48, you're getting to like 3 days, 4 days, and even 48 hours is a while for some people. People can start to build resentment, right? Definitely, especially if they are expecting some kind of thing to be arriving, right? And it's not arriving, and that's what the problem is. You know, they're excited about something and you're taking it away from them. So, all right, but the title of this video, and the final point that I'm gonna get to, is that you really should believe your buyers. As an eBay seller myself, and as someone who purchases items and receives packages, I can tell you with absolute certainty that packages do arrive marked as shipped by the carrier, but then the buyer never actually receives them. This is a thing that does happen. This has happened to me. I've experienced this shipping myself items that I know I shipped, that like I physically saw, shipping them to another location. I've had experiences where I've seen like videos of people stealing packages, and that's something that's becoming more and more common because people are aware. Amazon is a huge thing, you know, and people are aware that an Amazon box could have a really valuable item in it, right? That is a very, very real thing, okay? It's very likely that if your buyer is saying that they haven't received the item, then it's true. It's most likely that it's just sitting around somewhere, or their like wife picked it up and it's somewhere else in the house. That's what's most likely. And then there's that something miscreant happened where someone stole it, or the carrier marked it as delivered, but they delivered it to the wrong house, that kind of thing. And then you get into some other stuff. And then you get into people who are actively trying to hack you or scam you. And the reality is, it's such a small portion of situations, at least as a seller on eBay, that I don't believe that you should consider it something that might be happening to you almost ever, really. It really is better to just, like, this is why I sell cheaper items, because I can always just give a refund. I can always just close it. I can always just be like, okay, I could try and worry about this. I could try and fight this. I could try and do more about this, but I would have to spend the time and go through the stress and deal with all that, right? So it might not necessarily be what's best. So it's important that you understand all these things, okay? You can waste a lot of time. So be aware of this. Be quick. Respond quickly. It's important. And use as few words as possible. Also very important. It's going to help you out a lot. And number 4 is the thing I just talked about, but that has passed my mind. So with that, I'm going to end this video. I've gone on long enough, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed. I'm doing videos every day about dropshipping now, and also other videos on my channel about other stuff, hanging out with my friends. I'm just trying to live the life of a YouTuber who's trying to create as many videos as possible about the things that I love, that I enjoy, that I'm passionate about, and develop relationships and communities of people who, you know, want to live a better life, right? Because everyone does, I think. All right, guys. See you next time. Check out the chat bubble things.